so much for staying with us, everyone. When President Muhammadu Buhari met with a delegation of the state governors in October, he urged them to offset workers' salaries, pension arrears also. The president wondered how some of these governors could sleep when the workers are not being paid. Are workers smiling to the bank, especially during this Christmas period? Onigbinde, a co-founder of Budget, an organization involved in breaking down budgets and also the issues of economy and calling for transparency in budget administration in Nigeria, has been talking to us on the program. Yeah, thank you for staying with us.
Thank you.
If you look at it generally speaking, and when we want to wonder, some of these states, where do they go from here? It's perhaps an idea to be factual that some of these states are insolvent. They may not be able to come out to say we are insolvent. We can no longer run. If they were private sector organizations, they would probably been taking over or file for bankruptcy. Yeah. So how many states in Nigeria are in this mood?
You would look at, to me, I believe every state in Nigeria is viable. There are resources in every state, not solid mineral resources. There are people in the states. You know, so what I believe is just that the cost of operations, the cost of overhead, of running this are the things that makes the states very, very unviable. You know, you have some of the state governors even spending much more than the healthcare budget for a state. That's how, you know, how stupid that we are. And that's so when you look at the overhead cost of most of the state governments, you know, the convoys, the commissioners, the essays, and the whole paraphernalia of affairs, that's what actually makes them very unviable. But the way we've been structured, every state has an advantage in some sort. I was shocked. The colleague was asking me, Ekiti has kaolin, which is very critical to paper production, and it's in great demand across the world. You know, and so how do you say a state doesn't have something to do? The problem is an incentive problem. Everybody goes to the federal government or the federation purse every month to take something out from there. Either you sweat for it or you don't sweat for it.
I thought that a lot of these states are launching their rice initiatives. And I thought, I mean, that was, I know, obviously, I mean.
At what time of the season?
And apart from that, that's even a CBN-backed project. And some of them are just bagging it. I mean, we know some of these issues. But the question is that 2 years down the line, when the states are faced with the realities that they can no longer run their state effectively without being creative in the way they generate their own internally generated revenues. Is it not? I mean, I'm just wondering, could they have created something within the last 2 years or so?
It's not that easy. I have to be sincere with you. IGR, you know, stimulating Nigeria. Lagos is an example, doesn't happen overnight. You know, you need a bit of consistency, because if you're going to put an industry down in a state, you want it to have PE, you want it to, because it's going to employ workers. Also, the incentive, also even for the corporate income tax is not there. 52% of the corporate income tax goes back to the federal government. The 48% to the state is shared according to the population and other different parameters. That industry is cited in your state does not mean you get a higher percentage of corporate income tax. So that's why when the argument and the debate for restructuring came up, a lot of us were excited, because we feel this is actually will let us know those who are serious to vie for positions of governorship or local government chairman, because you know that there's nothing here. You need to sweat it to be able to bring something out.
I mean, I'll put it to you, because we need to quickly move. If you are up as a person, you know that your pocket can no longer feed your stomach. Won't you fight for survival? That is the situation. If these governors know that as a chief,
but there's a Paris Club that is in the third tranche now, and there will possibly be another fourth tranche next year again, maybe towards mid-end when the elections are ramping up again. So definitely the federal government, rather than allow critical thinking, just imagine the federal government say this is a $1 trillion fund. Bring up your ideas, put it up in PowerPoint, present it to Nigerians. How does your state get viable and get access to this fund to do this things? But no, we don't do that. The only thing we go ahead and do is focus on the salaries and most of these states are still owing salaries, and we use the Paris Club.
And again, another funny question is now that transparency. A lot of these states don't even have their budget open. We do not even know what they are doing.
We had this year budgets got 21 state budgets, and that's the landmark number for us, because you won't find any bigger collection anywhere else. The reason is because despite all the conditions that were attached to a lot of these laws, most state governments can piece together the budget. First, some of the budgets you see, is a big shame to where this is the state government.
Which are the states that are corporate in this sense? They have not opened up their budget.
Osun State, you can't see their budget.
Osun State?
Yeah, Osun State. Ogun State have not seen their budget this year. Or your state, we saw it, but it was not that great. Even when you go to South Delta, it's a problem. You can't see Delta, you don't see Cross River State budget. You don't see River State budget. It's only Akwa Ibom and Edo that you can find in those spaces. Most of even the states, almost 70% of the states whose budget are public, are from northern part of the country.
Sean, let's go to the issues of unemployment. It looks so much that there's so much bad news, but the good point is the fact that we could get out of this conundrum as a country, as a people. There are solutions to our problems. How we find those solutions remains one thing that we need to start thinking about. Now, we're entering into a new year. Alone this year, 4 million jobs lost. How do we cope? The APC said, look, we are going to produce 3 million jobs every year, but about 8 million jobs are lost already in over 2 years.
It's a big problem, and for me, it shows the mood of the economy. The economy is not adding more jobs, we're even losing more jobs. 15.9 million Nigerians, out of jobs. Almost 40 million Nigerians by the time you had the unemployed and the underemployed. So you're talking about 40 million people who are already not being the best way should be shaped in the economy. For me, it's the government not doing the right thing. The private sector is the most critical point for creating jobs. Government can put up a lot of intervention funds. They will keep remaining intervention funds because intervention funds are meant to be emergency solutions. They are not the real solutions. So look at the way you stimulate the private sector. The cost of credit in this country is high. Energy cost is high. The whole taxation process is difficult. So you look at how do you stimulate the jobs within those environments. We know organizations, countries like India, they create special economic zone, they co-locate industry and they give them firepower so that they can be able to access cheaper energy costs and really do something. We are not doing that. And we had dreams of doing that. We had Agbara, we had Ota. We're not creating new shoots like that.
What's the rate of, the figure of active Nigerian workers?
Around 85 million people.
And out of that?
Out of that, we have 45 working, 40 either unemployed or underemployed.
When you say underemployment, what does that
mean? That means the income level is still way below international standard of proper sustenance. That's what you mean by underemployed.
So, how easy is it to create jobs? If 8 million jobs have been lost in the life of this government, could you create 10 million jobs in a year, for example?
The APC government promised that. They said, one of the banners, I'm sure you saw all the buses in Lagos, that they will create 3 million jobs. But it's possible, but the question is, you need to create engines of growth. ICT is an opportunity. I was reading a report that China got $44 billion from exporting toys across the world. Toys. You could create jobs if you look at what are your engines of growth. And that wouldn't be a federal government conversation. You need visionaries and states to imbibe the ideas. Everybody sits back. What exactly are you going to do about this?
Let's look at the bright side as we close now. Is this government doing anything right in this regard that can give hope to some of our viewers who are watching now who are out of job?
I think the agriculture project with the CBN and the federal government and the outgrower scheme, it looks good. We need to scale that. And not just scale that because we want to have domestic sustenance. We need to scale that because we want to become an export powerhouse. And I guess looks like the little things we can pick easily. Looks like it's agriculture. But I see ICT as also an opportunity. We have companies like Andela who have done great stuff, churning out the best software developers. You can't imagine how much India makes from ICT in a year. It's almost like half of the GDP of this whole country, in some, from IT services. So we can sit back and think through it. How are we going to prioritize talent? How are we going to give them the environment to thrive? And how are we going to make it a standing national policy?
All right. And at about point in time when you even see medical doctors in droves
leaving the country,
writing plab and leaving the country. Sean Onigbinde, thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure being here.
Merry Christmas to you once again. Merry Christmas to you, wherever you may be watching. But look at the bright side, everyone. The president did say, look, there is hope for our nation as we progress and move forward. We're looking at the bright side and, of course, how this nation will be better. Many thanks, everyone, for watching the show tonight. It's Christmas Day from all of us here at Channels Television. Bye-bye, Frenchman.